10 seconds remaining. Prepare for battle.
Well, I'd say it was nice and smooth on your screen. All right, we're in.
Nice.
We're fine. All right, so let's just check out our lane. So no surprise whatsoever, we'll have a Darkseer on the off lane. The middle lane will eventually end up being the Shadow Fiend, and that puts the Morphling onto the safe lane with MR at Mur. He'll be the Earthshaker behind him with Disruptor 2. And OldBoys, it looks like they're going to get up in their faces. All 5 players going to come down. They get a vision on the Morphling, but they know they can't kill the Morphling. So there's not much point in that unless they can find the Disruptor or the Earthshaker.
Yeah, nice little play from Newbee. They give the Observer Ward over to the Morphling. I think he was going to try and get out there and place a lane ward before potentially the Clockwork made its way down here, but yeah, sees them and is just going to be forced into backing up. OldBoys, just a ward plopped right in the middle of the camp to block out the pull here, and immediately going to swing over towards top lane. I think they're making a bid for both runes actually here, and so they might actually be successful as well. DD going to close off the ramp down on bottom with the cogs, and yeah, OldBoys secure both. That was a really neat little play. They swing through, they show 5, they threaten for bottom, and then they leave one person behind and just go and grab top as well. So we're not going to see the standard both mid lanes grabbing a bounty rune from the start, and that could make this a little bit more difficult for the Shadow Fiend.
Yeah, that's actually really good, easy money. I also want to watch Witch Doctor with this Sentry Ward to see if he can actually scout out this Observer Ward. It's been one of the most consistent Observer Wards the Radiant side has planted, primarily because it allows the aggro lane to have a lot more confidence. You know when their gang's going to be coming in all the time. Witch Doctor doesn't really care about it too much though, because he's just going to stick in the lane almost all of the time, but Darkseer at least knows when he can try and exploit it and move forward. And that's primarily when you'll see the Witch Doctor stack this camp here.
Yeah. So the issue that we're seeing with Darkseer a lot at the moment is that he comes to the offlane and he just gets 100% zoned out and almost never, doesn't reach level 2 for like 4 minutes or something like that. There used to be, and I think part of it is that the rank 1 Ion Shell is actually fairly easy to deal with. It's a little bit of pressure on the lane, but it pushes it all the way up into the tower, and a good carry player is almost always going to be able to, especially with the help of an Ion Shell, maintain the lane right in the position that they want it. Even if they have to tank a couple of creeps, take some shots on their stout shield, it makes it hard for the Darkseer because the creep wave is just so far away, and if he runs up with that surge, he's 100% dead. I wonder if we might see a return to some of the level 1 surge play that we used to see. People would go to the offlane, double surge one of their creeps so that they ended up all the way at the enemy tower before the creep waves even clashed, and then that forces the lane to start pulling towards you from the very start, because, at the moment, the Darkseer is just not getting anything. Has managed to grab a couple of CS off his Ion Shells, but still 0 experience for the time being.
It's really difficult when it's just a level 1 Ion Shell too to get all of this CS, because the damage is so consistent that getting the last hit, something that's really, really simple to do. And the Juggernaut, maybe sometimes when you got the Ion Shells and you got a melee hero going up against you, then you're able to force him to buy into a Ring of Health or fire off a whole bunch of consumables. But it just doesn't happen in this lane because he just went for a level 1 healing ward. Now the bottom lane, this is a chance for a kill, and in fact it will be. Long DD's locked in here. There's your first blood going the way of Newbee.Young. And the other problem is the fact that DD's forced to go west. Out of the lane. Not only is this a bad thing because he's going to miss all the lane experience, but he also had a potential of dying. Meanwhile, up on top lane, it will be also a Darkseer dying to the Juggernaut. So I suppose a little bit back for OldBoys.
Yeah, at the very least, Darkseer does look like he's got a little bit of a creep wave coming in, so that should be his level 2 arriving at the tower. So sometimes not even the worst thing in the world dying in the off lane if the opposing safe lane loses control of the lane somewhat. So I think 456 is going to be alright with that. I didn't catch exactly what the Crystal Maiden was up to bottom lane. It looks like Long DD's actually just been chilling down here for the last little bit. I don't feel like they have a ton of kill potential, honestly, in this dual lane, especially with DD going for the Rocket Flare at level 2. I guess the plan is just to put a bit of pressure on, but we were talking about the importance of, okay, when Crystal Maiden is off the map, you don't know exactly what she's up to. She could turn up in any lane. She could gank. And when you're just sitting here showing on the lane, everybody on Newbee feels pretty safe. They don't feel threatened in the tri-lane because of the 2v3. Shadow Fiend's like, okay, well, look, I see Crystal Maiden. She's not ganking me mid. I'm a little bit worried about the Quap to begin with, but I don't think I'm going to die unless I make a mistake without the Crystal Maiden.
It's a good point with like Long DD being on this bot lane all the time, because he's only level 2, almost level 3, but he's leeching a lot of this experience away from DD. So you're not getting Clockwork up in the levels, where Long DD could just be inside the jungle. No one else is there. I guess also he's going to be cramping someone's style, and they're looking for a kill on this CM. Like, it is nighttime though, so the vision is fairly restricted. At the same time, Clockwork's gone so deep. He doesn't have mana for his TP, and he'll actually use stick charges to get the TP off. Crystal Maiden locked inside the wall, as well as the Fissure, and there's a waveform of Hubble. So no matter what happens here, Crystal Maiden is dead.
Yeah, so it's a second death for the CM, and I think it might just be time to call it quits on this bottom lane.
Send a jungle. Like, she can do so much more there.
Even if she's not necessarily farming the jungle a whole lot, she could just be camping runes, stacking camps, and then the Juggernaut can be clearing those camps out a little bit later on, or you can even give it to the Queen of Pain. There's a little bit of acceleration. We tend not to see as many stacks kind of given to the Queen of Pain, since he tends to do quite well in lane and doesn't really need the
They're getting killed top. They want to try and force him to surge, and then just a Frostbite, and that's exactly what they're waiting for. Frostbite in, guaranteed kill, good rotation from Long DD. He's able to find this kill as well. So just good movement.
Yeah, and this was what I was expecting to see right from the word go. Go and kill a big camp with your Frostbite. Either get your Nova and go for an immediate gank, or pick up the Aura.
Yep.
But it looks like he's sort of now back on track a little bit more.
Yeah. And every other lane for Old-Boys is looking great. Like the Clockwork, yeah, he hasn't died. They fed 2 kills from, but it was still only a Crystal Maiden, so their cores are still fine. Clockwork maybe just a little bit under-leveled, but YYF has shredded this mid lane. Like, he's 32-13 up against a 20-for-1 SF. This has not been a fun time for him, and SF's going to have to rely on his flash farming. Juggernaut, Omni Slash, taking out the Darkseer. He knew he had enough. All he needed to do was have an isolated Darkseer, and Darkseer walked away from his creep wave. He had no other choice then, though.
Yeah. Really nice play, just spotting that little opportunity. It's funny to talk. I was talking about during the draft that Old-Boys tend to play a little bit more old school with their skill builds. And if you look at Joe, he's got 3 points up in the Blade Fury. I think it makes sense here, especially against the Darkseer, to have that little bit of extra kill potential. But kind of recent memory, we have been seeing just a lot more of the 1-1-1 stats, kind of farming oriented Jug build. But I think this bodes well, because I think it signals that Joe is willing to just get active and be aggressive and go and look for ganks and kills. And he's got 2 supports that can benefit from a lot of farm if he's off farming the jungle or off looking for ganks. I think especially the Witch Doctor this game, if they can get some items up on him, look towards that Aghanim Scepter, that could be totally huge for Old-Boys.
Yeah, it also comes back to what we're talking about with the Old-Boys lineup, where they have a lineup which is meant to move around and kill people off. Like, if they wait for Newbee.Young just to get a little bit more farm up, they find their levels, they get a good level up, Static Storm or Disruptor, find some decent items, and potentially even works its way into an Aghanim Scepter with some momentum, then Old-Boys are in trouble. So they have to try and stay on top of Newbee.Young on all of their lanes. And this includes doing the sustained push that you mentioned during the draft. You can just keep pressuring the tower. You've got Voodoo Restoration as well as a Healing Ward. Taking up this tier 1 tower on the top lane should be a cinch.
Yeah, you look at their lineup and there aren't really any dedicated tower pushers, but the combination of having all of that sustain and even just decent creep wave clear as well. Paralyzing Cask is not too bad at all in clearing out waves and just keeping the push going that way.
They're trying to keep the Catapult alive here so they can take down the tower. Darkseer too far up. He thought he was fine, but he's not. And they'll finish off the tower. He was battling underneath the Old-Boys Healing Ward. He thought with the Iron Shells it might be enough, but it wasn't.
Yeah, he thought that the tier 1 and the Iron Shells were enough of a deterrent, but as we saw, Paralyzing Cask wipes out the creep wave really quickly, and Old-Boys building up a pretty big head of steam here. They've got tons of farm on the Queen of Pain, lots on the Juggernaut. The Morphling's doing well, but he's still going to take a very long time to really come into his own this game, and this is all time that Old-Boys are, I think, exploiting to the fullest.
Newbee.Young needs something. A new day dawns in Dota. And maybe they could find some level of opening, because he's still got this Clockwork. Actually, no, they can't kill the Clockwork, can they? There's too much armor, there's too much life to get through. They don't have the physical damage right now. the SF's in no position where he can do that.
Yeah.
And he can't even rotate out. He has to keep farming for now. And the Morphling, that's and maybe this is something which is like their primary weakness in the draft, is the fact that both the SF and the Morphling take time before they really become threats to Old Boys.
Yeah, I mean, neither of these two heroes is all that interested in leaving their lane and going for anything right now. Morphling's going to quite happily hit creeps bottom lane. Maybe he'll TP in if there's something happening under a tier 1 tower and drop off a waveform, but that's about the extent of his contribution. And Shadowfiend still really wants to build at least one item before he really goes and does anything. And also, Newbee.Y supports, as much as they've got really good team fight and look good towards the mid game, at the moment, like you said, they're, even the kill potential on the Clockwork isn't all that impressive, just because they are a little bit light on damage on the whole. DD, seeing that he's getting pincered a little bit there, is just going to be TPing back to safety. He's got his level 6 now as well, so a good time to be off the map, and good time to go and look for a gank in. He's gonna get donated a smoke as well, just for that reason.
And this can make SF feel a lot more insecure in the mid. Because with Clockwork gone, you know that hookshot's going to be wanting to come for him. He's the primary hero from Newbee.Young that hasn't really been controlled. The Morphling as well is definitely on the list, but you can deal with him. I don't think they're going to major problem with that. They want to stop a momentum-building SF. Morphling is consistent. In fact, there goes your hookshot already, and well off target. He actually came out of smoke and instant pause after, so I'm assuming there was some kind of lag issue there. Their vision across the river was perfect. Like they see them all.
Yeah, it looks like I mean, I wasn't watching the hookshot from all the way zoomed out, but the angle seemed really wide. Yeah. Relative to where the Shadowfiend is.
The angle, like if I can draw it once. Yeah, once we start again, I can draw it.
But it feels like it was kind of towards the banner more than it was towards.
Yeah. It was actually a little bit further north. So the hookshot came from over here, but it went this direction.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And the SF was already moving down south. So that didn't work there. Now, well, okay. Earthshaker currently battling up against Roshan, and that's his death. That's easy Sonic Wave to ensure the kill. Not to mention the spill damage that goes into the Morphling. You will have Clockwork being dragged back in here again by the Glimpse, but it costs Disruptor a fair chunk of his life. Queen of Pain needs to blink out 2 seconds. 1 second denial by Roshan. It's going to happen. So it will end up being a 1-for-1 trade-off here. There's maybe a little bit more support, but the wall, the field that comes out from Disruptor stops Zhou, as well as 8-2 chasing in quickly, but then they pop the drum charges. They've got the speed, plus the Omni Sash is available here. Paralyzing Card's going to bounce down. You've got the Darkseer wall, but Zhou going to start here with a spin. So there's a lot of damage. That Malediction's enough to ensure that Morphling's going to pop from that, and now into the Omni Slash, away from the creep wave, but he needs more life to survive this. He spends his cash before death. Very, very deep underneath that tier 1 tower. And in fact, it's not over yet. The Glimpse back into the perfect totem stop. 8-2's got the paralyzing cast, and he might have enough space to get away as she's stunning up the SF. There's not much more in long DD from the low ground. In comes YYF with a scream for the kill. The Requiem of Souls will go out, but it's minimal damage, but there's no more blink. There's another scream plus a bottle charge. They throw out the storm to ensure there's no blink away, and Clockwork, again, is just not big enough to reach across the other side of the river, attempting the hookshot in, but it will fail.
Yeah, so Old Boys end up committing pretty heavily to that. I think the one slightly weird thing for Newbee.Y is that Piao sat there up on the hill and started morphing strength, and I think he was telling himself, okay, I'm going to tank the Omni Slash, and then we're going to win the fight, and it just turned out that Maledict and Spin was more than enough to bring him down, but I think overall ends up being pretty good for Newbee.Y, and it does go to show how difficult it is to disengage for Old Boys, especially against the Earthshaker and the Disruptor. Once you're committed, anyone who's turned up to that fight is not leaving. So they really just have to go all in. And I think they did a pretty good job. They all really committed. Unfortunately, Omnislash didn't actually bring anyone down. Newbee.Y did a pretty good job of splitting up the bounces. And I think that actually ended up being a bit of a Newbee.Y favored fight overall. A bit of an uptick on both the net worth and the experience there.
Yeah. At the same time, it doesn't slow down the Juggernaut, because Juggernaut, just before he died, he bought both the Band of Elfskin as well as the Blade of Alacrity. Yeah. So he spent all the cash which he earned from the fight. So I kind of feel it was a little too deep. They didn't have to go that far. You're winning up against the Morphling. With the spin damage, you basically had a short kill, and you didn't have to cross this tree line, which is what ended up happening. They came underneath the tier 1 tower. When the Omni Slash went, I instantly thought he was going to get one bounce off of one hero, and then jump to the creep wave, which then arrived in mid.
DD bot.
Yeah, he's locked in the corner. He's got a hookshot of Barbel, and then they just throw down the Static Storm. But Piao, he's in here a very, very long way. In fact, they're just going to glimpse back across the Maiden, which means the tier 1 tower can be taken. They cancelled the extra TP, which was on the way in from Witch Doctor. Sonic Wave should be enough to kill off this Morphling, especially with the Juggernaut arriving. Now, he's actually got the jump, but it's not enough. Their strength morph up to 1900 life. The Morphling, now the Juggernaut goes for the jump. SF Requiem assaults Joe. He's so low on life. The healing ward will come down, but it gets taken out as well as him into the Echo Slam. YYF as well. And Newbee.Young showing the old boys what they got.
Yeah, I mean, they're just outdoing him in these team fights, and once again, you can't leave. Oh, Long DD gets glimpsed back, but...
A2 is too close.
Yeah.
Way too close. They've got another medium range raise here, and Long DD just throws the ulti out. It's enough to kill off the Disruptor, because the damage... No, it's not actually. He had one charge as he survives from the tower, and Witch Doctor runs back in trying to find something, but gets nothing at all.
Oh, that was an unmitigated disaster. That was a 5-for-1 overall.
You know what I said before we started this game? Where it's going to be really hard not to get depressed. I'm watching Legends of the game having like an impossible matchup. Like, it's just with just the way it's being played. Like, it's just sad. It's sad to see this kind of stuff happening to them. But Newbee.Young are playing it really well. And the fact they're doing all of this with only 4 heroes. The Darkseer is not involved at all.
Yeah. The team fight control from the Disruptor and the Earthshaker has been really impressive thus far. I feel like YYF has been playing a little bit too aggressively as well.
Oh, wow. The hook shot in. YYF was already controlled, but DD decides to try and battle it. And, well, Piao, he's right in the front lines, and DD moving himself away. They've still got the Replicate in mid, which is doing all the tanking of the tower. It never lost the aggro, so fighting up the tower wasn't even a bad thing for the Disruptor. A guaranteed kill here from 820, throwing out that Death Ward. A little bit of extra spill damage going out towards the Morphling. But now he's going to also get himself away to safety. 3 seconds until the wave forms back up again. This mid tower is still not down yet, but you know this Morphling wants a piece of the action. And he might be able to get it too. The Juggernaut healing wall is trying to keep everyone alive, but there you go. Waveform down to the river and get away. But don't force the issue into the tower yet, because then it's just a possible deny.
Yeah. Newbee.Y do have the mech up and the cooldown ready on the Shadow Fiend, so they could group back up and look to force this one through. But there's a glyph, and it looks like Old Boys. If there's one thing that I've noticed for their play is that they are completely unwilling to ever give away a tower. Any time that the opposing team comes and is looking for a push, they are all there trying to defend. We've even seen like the sort of 5-6 minute pushes on the safe lane where teams are just looking for that free tier 1. The mid lane of Old Boys rotating all the way over just to try and hold onto that one. And
they're actually going to try and fight this.
Yes,
it's a smoke move into a 2-2 pincer move from Old Boys.
That's a rank 2 Omni now.
There's the hook shot, well off target. They need that hook shot to really connect. And now the SF can send his ground. The Fissure control over on the Crystal, and they back him to the other side of the Fissure. Now you will have the cogs up, and the Shadow Fiend's going to die once to try and get that Requiem Assault up. The Battery Assault stopping him. He'll eventually get spun to death, but the Deadbolt is still helping him out. 8-0. Deathwalk gets a full duration, but that's not enough. 3 heroes lost, and they've even surged up the Morphlings, being blocked by his own creeps, and they're like, let them run. Just let them run. We take the tier 1 tower.
And ended up being a good fight for Newbee.Y in the end. I think the wand charges and the mech really caught Old Boys by surprise in terms of how long it took to kill the Shadow Fiend. And oh, Joe.
He stuck around close enough that he was in range of the Fissure. And it's something which you can't just spin and avoid unless you're 100% debating out the Fissure. And then Morphling just waveforms in, takes the kill. So it didn't make a lot of sense why he was doing that. But either way, that's just a Juggernaut losing his life. And in fact, more YYF. Like, this Disruptor pickup, oh, actually pushed him out of it. With the Adaptive Strike, pushed him out of the storm. Morphling, hook shot again off target here from DD, and he jumped out to the Replicate. The Malediction's on him as well as the Urn Charge, but he's strength morphing up. They 4-staff him down. And that's actually the Darkseer's farm that's allowed him to get a 4-star. So they get the Morphling out to safety, and they kill off the Queen of Pain. These cores are dying too much. Way too much for OldBoys.
Yeah, and a lot of it is just, you know, those last two feel like almost totally random deaths as well. They're just kind of off in a weird position. The tier 1 is already totally forfeit, so the question at that point, and the question with almost any team fight in Dota is, what are you fighting for? What opportunity are you going to be able to connect into if you win that team fight? And often if the tower's already been taken, engaging for the fight is a very strange decision because you're no longer even fighting to defend that objective, and you're probably far enough away that you won't be able to get an objective off the opposing team before they all respawn again. So yeah, OldBoys feel like they are really just crumbling at the moment, and that's what we talked about during the draft, that OldBoys needed to be ahead and they needed to stay ahead, because now that we're on unequal footing in Newbee.Y's favor and they've got all of this teamfight advantage, I don't know how OldBoys can approach this.
They actually can't take a fight right now. I think that's the problem for them. They have to let the tier 1 towers go. Just back yourself up and start getting whatever farm you can. Let the Queen of Pain go nuts on top and then just TP in and be involved. But let her finish her Orchid. Let her finish her control ability. And maybe then find pickups on... Actually, no, that's not even going to work, is it? Because you're going to pick up Disruptor, and that's the only hero which from Newbee.Young he could probably solo kill. Because you already got the BKB on the SF. Like, the Urshik is almost at a point where he's got a Blink Dagger. Like, 1,300 gold, at the rate these fights are going, it's not going to be long before he's done. And the Disruptor's going to have a 4-star in a moment, too.
OldBoys do have a double damage on their Queen of Pain, and it looks like they're keen to take this fight. Again, they just always 5-man, always looking to defend. I feel like somebody should be top. Somebody should be taking the 3 waves of farm that are about to arrive there, and that hero can have a minimum duration TP to this tier 2 if they do actually choose to take the fight. I mean, yeah, even if you're going to be arriving a tiny bit late, but in the case of the Queen of Pain, as we've seen, if YYF gets into the fight too early, before some of the stuns have already been used, he just gets locked down and he dies before he even manages to do anything.
It's exactly the way the corp's meant to work. You jump in, you take the last hits, and then you keep the momentum. And now Queen of Pain's going to walk down and get Vision, Raze, ulti, Vac, every control factor they've got. They just throw it onto the Queen of Pain. They have to avoid fights. That's just the key now for OldBoys. You're behind by a long, long way.
And this is where I think OldBoys should just immediately disperse. This tier 2 is pretty much already dead. I mean, they can glyph it, they can try and hold it, but...
He's actually, I think he's actually dead now. With the wall up, it's the fissure. I mean, sorry, not the fissure. It was the physical damage from the SF. I was looking forward to just kill him, but didn't come. But the Juggernaut can't fight. He's got drums, phase boost, mask, and Manus, and Yasha. Now that's actually still quite good for a 20-minute mark on the Juggernaut. But the problem is, he's still an agility hero up against such control and damage. And you're looking at the Morphling coming in. The paralyzing cast never bounces back into a 3-man wall. The waveform will come up as well. Into the cogs versus Clockwork. He can't get himself out of it. Now he even clips Lomni D back in again. There's your Oli being cast out in 8-2-0. He's basically doing the dance, but he's not in range for anyone to see it. That's a triple kill for the Shadow Fiend. And that'll be a tier 2 tower as well, and this game looks to be over very, very quickly here.
Yeah, I mean, they can't win a team fight at this stage. There's no split pushing going on. They're just trying to take every single fight that's presented, and team fights are definitely not going their way anymore. I mean, the Morphling tanked through everything that fight. He took a bit of the freezing field, the Death Ward just channeled on him. He had a Maledict land early on, but it didn't even matter. Morph strength, and the Shadow Fiend is going ballistic as well. I mean, he's what, 3k net worth almost in front of the Juggernaut at the moment. 8, 1, and 6 here for SCCC, and he's only getting bigger. BKB, I think, was only completed a little while ago, and now he's got a Yasha and another 1k gold on top of all of that.
He's going to be an unstoppable force. And pushing into high ground, like once you've got the Mana Star done as well, OldBoys don't have anything that controls, well, they don't have anything that controls them already because of the BKB, but you've got so much life, you've got so much stats on the back. In fact, actually, he's going for an SMY build on this SF. We're not actually looking at... I don't know if this is intentional. Sorry.
Yes.
Stay in the trees! Stay in the trees!
I think he just clicked the illusion on him to follow, and he walked in there. That's where you share control, I think, for the illusions. But anyway,
the Disruptor also decided not to go for the 4 stuff. I thought he might do it up against the Clockwork, but considering just how ahead Newbee.Young are, he's just going directly into the Ags.
Yeah, and I mean, even if the Queen of Pain manages to pick up the farm to finish the Orchid and then start working into the BKB, I think the Disruptor is going to outrace it with the Ags. DD comes back.
Yeah, they get the wall timing right, but they've got more. Like
they've got Fisher, they've got back, they've got more than enough to kill him.
I love the way they keep using their combo too. Like it's only it's a level 3 back, sure, but it's always there and it's always like the timing is right. Like they're chain stunning or chain controlling OldBoys really, really well. So they're making the most of the opportunities that OldBoys are giving them.
Yeah. And again, it's just more of these sort of little pickoffs happening in kind of odd places that OldBoys really can't afford to be giving up. They are split pushing a little bit more now.
But it's the worst time to do it.
But yeah, Newbee.Y are hitting their tier 3s.
Yeah, and they're also hitting the heroes. That's a double damage room in the Morphling. That's why that tier 3 tower's taking so much damage. It's going to wear off now. And long DD, well, you've already lost your tower. Joe's going to walk in and into the spin, so obviously can't go into the ulti, and they're going to find this kill on the Morphling, or will they? No, he waveforms out. The Darkseer wall comes up. The only slash, not single-timed to balance over the Morphling. The Disruption ulti will come out, and to drag back the Queen of Pain into it. YF will drop. The Juggernaut buys back, but there's no Omni Slash, and the only hero they've killed off is a Darkseer, and a fight they must walk through the wall.
Newbee.Y looks like they're keen to just stick her. I don't know if you stick your hands here. There is the threat of the Queen of Pain somehow having buyback. They probably didn't have opportunity to check her inventory.
You already won the fight.
But yeah, you won the fight. You've got the tier 3, and at this point, you can basically go and get this lane of racks at some later stage. If you win another fight, you push in through bottom, say, and you get mid sort of as the bonus prize. And yeah, what you're looking at the moment is the Disruptor Ags is already completed, and this is. It's funny because OldBoys don't actually have any BKBs just yet, but they're already not looking like very impressive items, and they haven't even been picked up. But I feel like OldBoys still need to go for it. The Queen of Pain can't afford to get fissured and locked down by everything else.
But it's like buying a butterfly after you already see a Monkey King bar on the other team. You know you're already counted, and then you sit there going, okay, how do I get back into this game? I'm a team that's being pressured. We've lost every other tower apart from our top 1. How do we actually win this game? And it's almost impossible to do it once you see that Aghanim Scepter, because you realize the only way I'm going to win this game is through split pushing to get farm, and then items that will let me win in team fight. The levels won't help you. They're already getting enough out of the levels with what they've got. So you need items to help you survive and kill during the team fight. And they can't do it with what Newbee.Young already have. Especially when these kind of situations happen where, okay, I thought Clockwork was going to get adapted striked, but even Lincoln Sphere's over on a Morphling. Now, I'm not normally a great Lincoln Sphere kind of happy kind of guy, but in this game it works because they just can't kill him. Yeah. And that's the critical thing, just stay alive as a Morphling.
Yeah, and it's just such a good, like, even in games where there isn't, say, a roar or something to block necessarily, it's just such a good farm accelerator on Morphling, being able to spam your waveform constantly, never having to go back to base. And as we've seen, Pia's still actually been able to have a lot of impact in these fights with just the Lincoln Sphere up. He's been getting the waveforms in, the Ion Shell on top as well, has been doing a lot of damage, and
I kind of feel
that's all he needs.
I kind of feel like he's almost a sponge. Like he comes and he does a decent amount of damage, and OldBoys throw basically the kitchen sink at him. And then SF walks in and goes, thank you.
Yeah, rubs his hands together a little bit and just starts beating everybody down.
You've warmed up the bed for me, wonderful. Now I'll sleep inside of it.
Yeah, so
he's winning this game in his sleep too. He's got a demon edge now on this Shadow Fiend, so he's
cruising.
I think he's actually going directly into the Monkey King bar. He could go for a Daedalus.
I just want to see him go for crit, honestly.
It'll be enough to take either the Witch Doctor or the Crystal Maiden in one attack. Newbee.Young's going to be careful though. They're starting to lose some tower control. Yeah. And this is where you can get the injection of money. And I actually love this build coming out from Zhou. He's going for what I believe is a Shadow Blade. So he can find pickups. Like that's the way they win this. But Newbee.Young coming in with the smoke. They find long DD on the sides. That's going to be taken care of by the SF. As Witch Doctor, Vac's already been used, so he's right to TP out of here. And Juggernaut's also... no, you're sticking around, man. The Aghanim's ulti is up. The wall actually connects. He's getting into a corner. The Static Storm still reaches into that area. So he'll end up dropping him. That's 73 seconds on the sideline for the Juggernaut because he bought back previously.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as his TP got cancelled by the glimpse, he was...
Oh, hello, perfect world. Hello, perfect world. I think that's Morphling killing off a Witch Doctor right now, and then battling up against YYF as well. He's actually doing it almost solo. Clockwork's going to hook in, and yep, that's going to be the Morphling down. And while we've got a chance, I'm going to disconnect and reconnect, because that's the...
She's just straight into the mid lane. They don't have their Morphling, but yeah, Range Drax is already down, and SCC is just he's too scary at the moment.
Oh man, you think you're safe inside these cogs. Clockwork is going to get complete. Actually got Glimmer. He's actually been Glimmer caved away by the Crystal Maiden, so he'll end up surviving through this. But you've still lost your range racks in mid. It's actually kind of funny too, watching a Clockwork, because I kind of feel like this hero can get countered so easily by actually the Darkseer at the moment, but also a hero like Keeper of the Light. Like whenever you get the Aghanim Scepter on Keeper of the Light, I feel like Clockwork is a useless factor then, because he gets blinding lighted out every time. So you can't just battery assault someone down to death. I think at this point though, I don't think that's anywhere near the mind of DD. All he's thinking is, I cog, I slow this game down, I buy time. Well, Juggernaut found an opening. The 4-star up. Disruptor will help tank it. Hookshot comes on top of the Shadow Fiend. Now that's nice, Cogs. With the Malediction, they're going to get the skill on the Shadow Fiend. But Aegis the Immortal going to trigger, and he'll be back in a moment. At the same time, where is this jump in from the Earthshaker? Is Blink still on cooldown because of the Shadow Strike? That's why he can't jump in at the moment. So you burnt the Aegis to the Immortal, but almost every ulti, in fact every ulti from Old Boys is now on cooldown. They isolate the Clockwork inside the wall and his own cogs, so he can't run away. The Glimmer Cape will be there to protect him once again, and there's your Echo Slam jump. They pick off the Crystal Maiden, primarily used for the instant stun. And there goes your melee racks. Buyback by the Queen of Pain. Only like Newbee.Young, all they gotta do is get out of here scot-free if they can do so. But when you get a 4-man fissure stun back into the Static Storm with the Aghanim's upgrade, I think it's over. Like, they have just ravaged Old Boys on the steps of their palace. The Sonic Wave will come out. The attack is not actually even enough to kill off the Darkseer. So you've lost the Quap. There's the GG. 30 minutes it takes. And the ult has been killed by the Young.
Are you planning that?
I already did mini one earlier on, but yeah.
That was good. I was like, you're a sly one, Toby. Anyway,
yeah.
So
If there's a pun to be had, I have had it.
Nice. All right. So, I mean, Old Boys. I feel like we talked about it during the draft. They needed to. The only way that they were winning this game is if they stayed ahead, and Newbee.Young just felt like they outplayed them in a lot of the fights as well. You made the point that the Darkseer wasn't even there for some of the early engagements, but they still took them just fine.
Yep.